Hello class, this is Miss Morrison and we are going to begin learning how to read music today. Several of you guys had your instrument tryouts last week and it was such a pleasure to meet y'all, and I cannot wait for all of us to begin playing together. The first thing I want to do is show you what written music looks like. It looks like this right here. And this is just an example. This is actually some piano music, but you're probably looking at this and all you see is black and white on the page. You don't really see a whole lot of anything that makes sense. And as musicians, one of the things that we have to do first is learn how to read this music. Once we learn how to read this music, then you'll be able to produce those sounds on your instrument as an ensemble and we will be able to play. Now, yesterday you should have watched the video about learning what music is, as well as what finding the beat is and why that is important. So if you haven't watched the video from yesterday, you need to stop what you're doing and go do that first. Okay, but let's go ahead and review a little bit from yesterday. So the first thing, I want to talk about what music is. And the definition that I like to use for music is organized sound through time. Okay, music is different than noise. Music is not just a bunch of different noises that are thrown together. Music is planned, it's organized, it's thought out, it's written, and you're taking all of these sounds and you're organizing them in a way that create music that is pleasing to our ears. Okay, now yesterday you learned that we measure music with beats. So go on ahead and repeat after me. We measure music with beats. Good. All right. So let's go ahead and review a little bit what the beat is and what it sounds like. The beat is almost like the heartbeat of music. It keeps us going and it keeps everybody in time and together. So I'm going to show you something on Schoology really quickly that is a tool that can help us to find the beat. If you were here for your instrument tryouts last week, then you will remember me using this tool during your percussion tryout. So here we are in your class and we're on the materials page and we're going to go down to something called a metronome. I'm going to click on that. Okay, and the metronome can help us find the beat. So we're going to come up here and we're going to go up to 80 beats per minute, and we're going to play the metronome. I'm going to turn it up as loud as it goes here. Good. So this is an example of a beat. Now this beat doesn't have music behind it, but this is kind of what a beat can sound like. So practice counting beats with me. Ready, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can tell here that you can count beats. Let's go ahead and count 12 beats together. Ready, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Good. Okay, now let's count 8 beats. Ready, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, so that is an example of how you can count beats. So let's go on ahead and let's begin learning what some of these notes are and how many beats they get, because all of these different notes get a different amount of beats, or at least some of them do. So let's go ahead and look at that. So I'm going to flip this around and I have some staffs right here. So this right here is called a staff. It has 5 lines and 4 spaces. This is the type of line that you would use to write music. So when you look at music, you'll see staffs. Okay? So that is the thing that we use to read music off of. Okay? So let's go ahead and learn about some of the different notes and how many beats they get. Let's see how to do this. The first type of note is called a whole note. okay? And a whole note is just an open circle, okay? And depending on where it is in the staff, it could be written at the bottom, it could be written in a space or on the top, okay? And it is called a whole note. Okay? A whole note gets 4 beats. So it's one continuous sound, but it gets 4 beats. Okay? So what we're going to do is, since we do not have our instruments yet, we are actually going to use our voice as an instrument. And then once we get our instruments, then you'll be able to learn how to play a whole note using your instrument. And the syllable that we are going to use to sing a whole note is da. Okay? So we're going to use da to sing a whole note. Now, every single one of these notes, okay, is a sound. And this particular sound of a whole note gets 4 beats. So let's sing a whole note. We're going to use our metronome to help us. Ready, sing. Da. You see how I sang for 4 beats? I just sang a whole note. Now try it with me. Ready, and da. So that is how you would sing a whole note. Okay? The next beat, the next kind of note that we want to talk about is called a half note. Okay? And a half note gets an open circle and then a stem. And depending on where it is on the staff, the stem could be going up or it could be going down. But a half note is an open circle with a stem. So here we are. Half note. Okay? And a half note gets 2 beats. Okay? So let's go on ahead and use our syllable da, and let's sing a half note. Come over here to our metronome, and it's going to help us. Ready, and da. Now do it with me. Ready, and da. Okay, so that right there is a half note. Now, the next beat that kind of note I want to talk about has a closed circle and a stem. Okay, and that is called a quarter note. And a quarter note gets 1 beat. Okay, so we take our quarter note and we're going to learn how to sing a quarter note. Ready, and da. See how I only sang for 1 beat? Ready, and da. Now do it with me. Ready, and da. Good. All right, so that right there is a quarter note. Now, what we are going to do is we are going to take whole note, half notes, and quarter notes, and we are going to create a mini piece of music, okay? So the first thing that we need to learn is what a time signature is. And the time signature that we are going to be working in is 4/4, okay? And what that means is that there are 4 beats per measure. Now, you may be asking me, what is a measure? Let's write out our music, and then we will talk about what a measure is. All right, so here is our mini piece of music right here, okay? And we have 4 beats per measure. Now, a measure is space in between the lines right here. So you have these lines, this one, this one, and those are called bar lines, okay? And bar lines separate measures. And a measure is the space, in between the bar line. Okay, now we have a total of 1, 2, and 3 measures. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so what our time signature tells us is how many beats are in each measure, and we can tell from this that we have 4 beats in each measure. So let's go on ahead and find our 4 beats in each measure, and then we're going to learn how to sing this small little piece of music, okay? So the first 2 notes that we have here, this first note is a half note. We can tell that it's a half note because it has an open circle and it has a stem, okay? And if you remember, half notes get 2 beats. So if we know that there are 4 beats in this measure, then we know that beats 1 and 2 are included in this first half note. And then we also know that beats 3 and 4 are included in the second half note. Okay? So let's move on to our second measure, this one right here. We have 4 quarter notes in a row. And we know that each quarter note only gets 1 beat. Okay? And we know that there are 4 beats in this whole measure. So, beat 1 is right here, beat 2 is right here, here is beat 3, and here is beat 4. Something else that you may have noticed is that I didn't keep counting. I counted 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then I again counted 1, 2, 3, and 4. Every time you get to a new bar line, you start over with your counts. So you would count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you start over with your counting every time you come to a bar line, okay? Now, let's look at our last measure. Our last measure is a whole note. And if you remember how many beats it gets 4. So, let's come over here and let's find where our 4 beats are. You guessed it, all 4 beats are included inside this one sound, this one whole note, okay? So, and that is where our 4 beats are. Now, you're probably wondering, okay, I see a bunch of, lines on a staff here, but I don't know what I'm supposed to do with them. Well, you would read the music starting from here, and then you would continue reading. Okay, so let's use a metronome and let it help us in reading our music. So we are going to use our syllable da again to help us sing this music. And then one day when you get your instrument, you'll be able to play this rhythm or this small piece of music using your instrument. Okay? So let us get our metronome going, and then let's start singing this rhythm so we can learn what it is. All right, we have our metronome going. Let me move this so you can see it. There we go. All right, let's sing it. Ready, and da, 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 da. All right, so that is that right there, okay? So I hope that makes sense to you. We'll be going over this again and again and again, and please watch the video that is underneath this one as well. Oh, one more thing before we go up. I want us to see if we can identify some of these new notes that we learned about in this piece of music. So we can find an example of a whole note right here. Here's a whole note. See, it's just an open circle. We know that this note gets 4 whole beats. So this measure is 4 beats, okay? Now let's try and find, here's another whole note right here. Let's also see if we can find some half notes. If you remember, half notes get 2 beats. Here's an example of a half note. Here's another half note. Okay? And then we also see quarter notes. Here's one, here's one, here's one. Here's some that are stacked on top of each other. Here's one up here. So you can see how these notes are in the music. All right, I hope you have a great rest of your day.